We are starting a new lesson on getting familiar with the interface. In this lesson, we will continue our introduction to the interface in more detail. In the previous lessons, we talked about the general interface, the tabs within it, and the panels associated with those tabs. Throughout the progress of our overall project, we will prepare our project by using various commands and tools located in these panels. The tools and commands located in the ribbon panel are very important for us, as they are the main tools we will use throughout the entire project workflow. There is another very important section here, which is the layer section. During the preparation of our project, we will use this section to assign our lines and the objects we create to different layers. As you can see, there are already various layers available in this layer section. These are called layers. When we open a new drawing in AutoCAD Civil 3D, the software automatically creates different layers by default. When we draw any object, for example, a polyline, AutoCAD Civil 3D automatically assigns it to the default starting layer called Layer 0. Later, while creating our drawings, we can create new layers from this layer section and place different objects into different layers so that lines and objects do not get mixed with each other. Let's delete this and take a look at what else exists in the interface. At the bottom, in this thin bar-like section, there are several commands. The first one is the model section. When we switch from the model section, we automatically move to the layout section, which is used for printing. From there, we can return back to the model section again. Here you see the grid option, which can be activated using the F7 key. When we click this option, AutoCAD Civil 3D switches to grid mode, displaying a checker-style background. For some users, working in this mode is more convenient. By clicking on it again, you can deactivate the grid mode. The next option you see is Ortho mode, which is activated and deactivated with the F8 key. You can also turn it on or off by clicking here. What does this mean? For example, if we want to draw a polyline, and we want it to be drawn only at 90-degree angles, without any diagonal deviation, we activate Ortho mode. This allows us to draw straight horizontal or vertical lines only. Drawing at 45 degrees will not be possible. Only 90-degree angles are allowed. Now let's delete this and turn off Ortho mode. Later, we will talk in detail about some other important commands and tools. For now, this is just a light introduction to the interface. Here you can see the line weight option. What does this mean? Suppose we have a polyline and we set its line weight to, for example, 1 millimeter. However, we do not see this thickness in the drawing and the line appears as a thin line. This happens because the line weight display option is disabled. If we click on this line weight button, we will be able to see the actual thickness of the line. If this line weight option is not visible in your status bar, you can click on the 3-line customization button and add line weight to this panel, or remove it if needed. Next is the scale section, which we use to adjust the visual scale of our drawing. This section is the workspace, meaning our working environment. It is available here and also at the top of the interface. We can change the workspace from either location. Next, in this section, you can see an option that allows us to maximize or minimize the drawing area. When we click here, the screen switches to a full drawing mode. In this mode, we cannot see the ribbon panel or the tool space panel. We can only draw by selecting commands and typing them into the command line. To return to the previous interface layout, we click this option again and the interface returns to its original state. Let's move on and look at other interface elements. On the right side, you can see shortcut tools. For example, this option is angle distance, which is used to measure angles and distances between 2 points. These shortcuts also exist in the ribbon panel, and we can use them from there as well. There are also bearing distance and azimuth distance tools. Using these shortcuts, we can access these functions with a single click. The section you see here is related to Civil 3D's visual navigation tools. Let's draw a rectangle and see what these tools do. First, but it is still useful to understand. When we click it, you can see the hand icon appear instead of the cursor. Using this hand tool, we can pan the screen by dragging it around. Next, we have Zoom Extents. When we click Zoom Extents, AutoCAD zooms in so that all objects fit perfectly within the screen. We also have Zoom Window. For example, if we have drawn an object and want to zoom into a specific part of it, we select Zoom Window and then draw a rectangular window around the area we want to magnify. Civil 3D and zooms into that selected area. There are other options here as well, which you can explore and test one by one on your own. Next, we have the Orbit option. What does Orbit mean? When we click Orbit, AutoCAD Civil 3D switches to a 3D navigation mode. If we hold down the left mouse button and move the mouse, the view rotates in 3D space. There are other ways to do this as well. For example, we can use Free Orbit. To exit this mode and return to the previous view without selecting anything, we press the Escape key. Another way to rotate the view is by holding down the Shift key and pressing the mouse wheel while moving the mouse. This allows us to rotate the view left, right, up or down. To return to the original plan view, we click Top, and the screen returns to its original top-down view. We can also change the view using these directional controls. For example, clicking the arrows changes the view to north, south, and other directions. We can also rotate the view upward or downward using these controls. Another interface element we will get familiar with is this small section called Viewport Controls. You can see a small minus sign here. When we click this, we access viewport configuration options. This section is especially useful when working on Civil 3D projects where we want to change views or work with multiple screens. For example, in future projects, you will see situations where we want to work with two views at the same time. To create two viewports, we select two vertical. When we do this, the Civil 3D screen is divided into two vertical sections. If we click inside one viewport, we can make changes there, and we will see those changes reflected in the other viewport as well. Alternatively, we can choose two horizontal, which splits the screen into top and bottom sections instead of left and right. To return to the original single screen layout, we select Single, and AutoCAD returns to its default view. This concludes our introduction to the interface. The remaining tools and commands that we will actually use while creating projects will be covered in detail in the upcoming lessons.